Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Gooms Podcast. 90% of you guys are actually not subscribed, so please make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn the bell notifications on so you can get notified every time we release a podcast. Enjoy the episode.
Okay. Have we started? Okay.
It's the only time we're going to do that. Only time we're going to do that. What's happening? We are back for the Gooms Podcast, man. Episode 26. Got a big guest today.
Thank you for having
Would you like
me.
to introduce yourself, man?
I like to call myself Matt Green, the rapping science teacher. Some call me as well. H. Chris, thanks for having me.
It's cool, man.
It's a pleasure,
No
bro.
worries.
Thanks for inviting us into your house, man. Thank you so much.
Not at all.
Me and H made the trip up this morning. Grafting. We've got a couple of days of heavy podcasting, but we're here for it, man. We're here for it.
It's part of the grind, though, isn't it?
It is. There's always grind to be done, but you know it pays off in the end.
Yeah.
100%.
Let's. I think that's a nice place to start. Let's talk about your grind and your journey and where you started, everything that you do, and like what's the grind been like getting to where you are now?
You know, sometimes I look back at it, and it's been a tough journey. I started my career in teaching, and about 5-6 years ago, I thought, let me open up a company. So my company, JJM Science Tutors, is the company I run, and to market it, at one point or another, I thought, let me start rapping. Let me try a little thing on rapping, and it started to blow after about 6 months, and then I split it out into its own thing. So I run the company, I do the rapping, but there have been its ups and downs on the way. But we're here now. What was it, 500,000 followers later, and a fully fledged business.
She's brushing it off like it's nothing. 500,000 later.
Where did the inspiration come from?
Yeah, to rap.
To start doing it.
It's pretty niche, right? Were you the first person to do it? Or?
I think I'm one of the first. I know there are others out there.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I'm friendly with called Christian Foley. He does it for English, and there's a guy called MC Grammar that does it for.
Is that like the teacher rapping community?
Yeah, we all know each other.
You man should beef each other for some views. And do a couple of disses.
I know. I think it would work.
No, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
But yeah, I started it because I was in a summer holiday, I think 2019, and I was thinking, when I go back to September, what new things can I try that will help kids to understand things better? And I think a car drove by, and they were blasting a track that I knew the words to, word for word. And I was like, hang on a minute. This thing that I'm trying to get, and this idea that I'm trying to get across, could I just write the words in lyrical form, make it a catchy song? Would that work? And I think I was a bit, I think I was scared to do it for about a year. And then after about a year, I thought, let's bite the bullet. Worst that happens is I embarrass myself. Best thing that happens, it helps kids learn.
What were you scared of? Embarrassing yourself? Is that?
Yeah, I think there's always cringe factor, and there's always doing something outside your comfort zone. But, you know, as you guys know, you never get anywhere unless you do something, the next step, which is uncomfortable. And you have to take a chance and a risk on things. And that was what it was. So I think a year after that I did it. And I thought it was going to get 1 million views. I thought, this is going to work. This is gonna work.
I'm finna blow.
Yeah.
You put loads of effort into it, make sure it's perfect.
I remember I think I spent 20 hours writing the rap. I went to a studio in Brixton, took hours to get to, came back, did the video shoot, got people involved. I was like, it's going to change the world. It's going to get 1 million views. It's going to change the world. I was like, I believed it, and I put it out. Like 30 views, 40 views. It will take a few days. And I think it landed on like 1,000.
Yeah.
And I remember being gutted.
Where was this? YouTube?
This was
Where'd you put the first
Instagram
video?
and TikTok.
Okay.
And I remember feeling kind of gutted. And even though I know, you hear everyone say, you know, it's not going to work first time. It takes time. I say, yeah, I know that, but mine's different. Mine will blow.
I'm going to change
time.
the world.
Yeah. So I said, all right, you know, just regroup. Second one will blow. And it didn't. And I think 6 months this continued. And then one day, I think I became a consumer on TikTok. So before I was just creating. Not really, I knew what it was, but I wasn't really consuming it. But I really
then you understood what worked.
Yeah, so that was it. So I see someone do backflips, that's crazy. See comedians, now I'm telling the sort of stuff I watch. And then I was scrolling, and then you just flick past things. And I was suddenly stopped myself, had a meta moment. I was like, why am I flicking past this? Like, because it's an advert. Obviously, I'm not watching the adverts. But I flicked in 0.1 seconds. There was no branding. How did I know it was an advert? Because it looked like an advert. And then I just suddenly went, my Lord, my raps look like adverts. They look like I'm advertising my company. So I just thought, maybe, let me ditch company branding. Let me ditch the white, put black in, and let me put it out. Yeah, I was pipe dreaming. 30 views. Anyway, woke up the next morning, 800. Oh, that's the best I've ever done. But let's see if I can put phone in pocket. 5,000. nah.
Yeah.
And then I think by the end of the day, it was on like 40,000. At the time, that was huge.
It's always that one video that will like just change everything mentally and as well what's going to happen on the socials.
Yeah, because it's sort of once you've done it once, you know it can be done.
Yeah.
And then I
Start
started
feeling like, you know, when you refresh the feed,
Yeah.
it's just there's more, and you're like, shit. Especially something you really put a lot of time and effort into and a lot of thought into.
That's it.
It's a very fulfilling feeling.
Yeah. And then that was it. I went back to school on the Monday, and he was like, "You're TikTok famous now, sir."
I bet you love that, didn't you?
I was wondering they might laugh at me, like, "What are you doing, sir?" But they were with it.
One thing that I wanted to actually ask was, what do your school that you worked at? Obviously, big entrepreneur now. Left the school
I'd
system.
like to think so. Little entrepreneur. I'm getting there.
No, but what did they think about it that you were uploading raps to socials? Was anything ever brought up to you? They're like, you can't be doing this, because I know obviously some schools could be funny about that.
Yeah, do you know what? I think by the time I was doing it, I didn't think about it. You
just did it.
It just didn't even occur to me, because I'd been through all that before when I started my company.
Okay.
Like, I get my company secret. I was like, the school knows I've got a company. As legal as it is, as above board and honourable as it is, there's always is there a conflict of interest in here? If some marking isn't done or there's some tasks aren't done, they might pull me aside and say, "Oh, we know you've got a company."
Spending too much time on your rap and outside.
Yeah.
And you're not,
But I'd gone past that, and the time I put the raps out, I knew I was in my final year.
Okay.
So I knew I was in my final year of teaching, and my only MO going into the classroom was, if I can wake up every morning and teach the best lessons I can possibly do, and the kids are happy and learning, everything else didn't matter. So the idea of someone knocking on my door and saying, "You can't do this," I just laugh at them. So, like, as long as the kids like it, and I'm not in breach of my contract, it's fine. And in all fairness, I think when staff realised and my head teacher realised, I think they were just happy for me. So there was no sort of, "You can't do this." But I have heard of other teachers that have played my raps in schools. Their head teachers have told them not to.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've had one or two people tell me that, because I think they were highbrow schools, and they were like, "Oh, we don't want this like hip hop being played." But hey, it's all good.
Just teach it.
Yeah.
Well, I said this to you when when I first reached out, basically, and said I would have massively benefited from a teacher like you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Just that cool. You always remember that one cool teacher, don't you? That you just glued with, and you had a level of respect for them, so you would naturally perform better in their lessons. Now, somebody like you, if I was your student, I would relate to you. I feel like you would relate to me. You make things fun and cool. So I naturally want to listen to what you're telling me, because there's that respect there. And as a kid, you want nothing more than to look at your teacher and be like, "Oh, okay, I want to listen to this guy."
Yeah.
I remember I was sat in classrooms sometimes, even to the level where I was in college, listening to my business teacher. And I was thinking, "You're telling me all of these things about business, but you're on a salary and you're out of shape and you're not putting anything that you're teaching into practice." So the level of respect just comes down straight away. I feel like you hit the nail on the head with the relatability to the kids and being able to get your message across properly.
That was the idea, trying to make it relatable, and I'm continuing to try and push things and make them more relatable and easy to understand. But it's a process.
One thing that I was going to say, following on from what Chris said, was when I was at school, I always used to bicker with my form tutor.
Okay.
Because
good bickering, or
no. Not like I was never disrespectful. I just fucking smacked the mic. One thing that I was never at school, I was never disrespectful to my teachers. The way my mum and dad raised me, like I was a very respectful person. But I just used to pull up the point that I thought that school was pointless, wasn't for me, didn't really make sense for me.
Okay.
I wasn't really learning anything for the real world. What are your views on stuff like that? Like I came out of school. It's only really the past year that I've understood taxes, and I'm 22 now. I've understood like taxes, numbers, and stuff like that.
What did he say?
He said, "You're doing better than me."
No, but as much as school taught me a lot of things, and I love now, like I love learning, I love like knowledge. But it never taught me. It never set me up for real life. If that makes sense.
It does make sense, and we had this little chat beforehand. Like, you guys, you got people skills. I didn't have at your age. I wouldn't say I was awkward, but if it came to sort of trying to pitch customers or any sort of retail sense, I'd have basic conversations, but there's no way I'd have any sort of pizzazz to sell. In fact, when I left my second degree, I went into a sales job, and I was fucking shit at it.
Selling what?
It was business intelligence.
Wait, what was that?
Yeah, exactly.
So was that every phone call? Hi, so are you interested in any business intelligence? What are you trying to sell me?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah. That's probably why I was so bad. But you know what you're saying about skills in school, that things like finances, taxes, even customer interactions, these are very vital to life. I've learned these things very late. It was only into my late 20s, you know, I started picking up business books, picking up finance books, and trying to learn these things because my company wasn't growing the way I wanted it. So I thought I've got to educate myself on these things. These things aren't taught in schools. And even like you're saying, business teachers, you know, they can tell you the basics, but you know, when it comes to learning certain things, you need to be speaking to someone
who's done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing as well, I don't think me as growing up, like my parents always, my mom more so, always realized that I was a creative. Like at school, like as I got older, I kind of realized that I was a creative. There wasn't really any options other than art for me to go and kind of express the stuff that I wanted to really do.
Okay.
I feel like even something like that would be interesting for kids at school to be able to do. I mean, I know that you said that your sister, she now takes a subject like, it's like it's based around social media.
You probably know better than me, but
what's this? A subject around?
It's not necessarily around social media, but it teaches you. It's like an integration of video editing, photography, graphic design, and it's all like integrated into one.
Okay.
Don't hold me to exactly what it is into the detail, but I'm just going off of what she's explained to me. But that is something that you would have thrived.
Yeah, and anything to do with anything like that, like I would have loved at school, but I never had those options.
Yeah.
I mean, my school, I did go private school, so I did the options that I had were limited anyways. Okay. It was mainly like academic subjects. There was art, drama, and that was design, technology. That was like pretty much it creatively. But I think that a lot of kids could probably benefit from that nowadays.
I think the way social media is now, and the things that, like, you know, what you guys are doing is crazy. Like, it's incredible that you got your own business and you're doing this at the age that you're in.
Likewise, man.
And thank you. And you didn't, there were, like you were saying a second ago, there's no sort of course that took you into this. It was the basic things you learn in school. All of this is off your own cuff outside. But like you're saying, the course that your sister is doing, it'd be nice if there were sections of this that could be done in school. And I think moving forwards, all marketing is pretty much going to be social media as time goes on. And yeah, when kids coming out of school not knowing basic finances, not knowing how to do taxes. I suppose you don't need to be able to do taxes unless you want to go self-employed, but you got to work these things out on your own. And if you haven't got parents to show you or that have done it or mentors, there's no way to find out the stuff. Yeah,
could that be something that you potentially teach?
God, I would.
Your school. I
would love the idea of mentoring. I think I can mentor some young kids. The stuff that I've picked up along the way, the basics that I've picked up along the way. But I think I'd have to be way more established in what I do. Like you were saying before, like I can tell people a little bit from what I've picked up, but I feel like I'd have to know more to be in a position to advise.
You wouldn't feel confident enough in your skill set to actually say, do this.
Because I know proper people that have got £1 million businesses, and I think, you can go to them. They know what they're doing. Once I get there, then I can start talking. Yeah,
you'll get there, man. Don't worry.
I hope so.
I know one thing that probably a lot of listeners probably be curious about is what actually is the business?
So the business is a tutoring company. Okay. So I used to one-to-one tutor myself for years, and I got busy pretty quickly. So people wanted GCSE science, A-level, Key Stage 3. They'd call me and I'd travel to them and then eventually do online lessons. And then the phones wouldn't stop ringing. So I thought, can I start hiring? Created a first business with a partner. That worked for about a year. Then that just failed. It almost worked, but poor partnership meant it didn't work out. Okay. Then I regrouped and went again alone. And that's when I started really hiring, really selling. And now we've got 80 teachers providing about 300 lessons a week, one-to-one.
That's what's crazy to me.
Yeah, thank you.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's the main thing I do. And the rapping only started paying about a year ago. And my vision wasn't for it to do that. It's just become its own entity. So now I consider myself running two businesses, the tutoring and the rap enterprise.
Would you consider yourself an influencer?
I don't like that word. People say it's a dirty word, don't they? I prefer creator. I feel like that's the word that they've replaced it with because influencer is just too negative. But yeah, I'd call myself a creator now. I think once I got to a certain level, I thought, I can safely say that.
Creator / entrepreneur / big G / rapping teacher.
How does the business work? If you don't mind me asking that.
Yeah, no, of course.
If you don't mind diving into that more. I was going to say, like, in terms of, first of all, so you've scaled to 80 tutors now.
Yeah.
How does that work in terms of payment? Because surely they could just go on their own and just tutor on their own, or is it like you're bringing them all of the kids that they're tutoring? Is it like 50-50 pay split or something like that?
There's a commission split that's in favour of the tutor.
Okay.
Always because they're doing the work. I think any agency would be the same. I think when you've got big agencies with real big head offices, they might come close to 50. When you're a small operation like we are, there's me in the office and we've got 2 members of full-time staff in the office and the rest is outsourced tutors. The running off idea that you said, like anyone, you hire based on trust, right? So everyone that I've hired in the first place, I can see they're a great person. I might have made a mistake once or twice, but there's the trust there. So I trust them, take them on. But then it's a mutual thing, right?
They also trust you to bring more clients, right?
So I put the weight on me. If I am at JGM, if we're providing clients that are difficult, let's say, maybe they're rude to the tutor, maybe they cancel on them last minute, and maybe they just drop off. If that's what we're providing, then maybe they can run off of clients. Why bother with us? But it's our job to justify our commission. So we obviously take a cut, so a tutor could get more on their own. But if they come with us, they get more clients, they get better clients.
Better results, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's it. So, and tutors stay with us. I think we've got like 95% retention. I think our rates of pay are good. I hope they think the same. And clients are happy, tutors are happy. If we're not providing that service for tutors, then they shouldn't really be with us. But that's how I rate our business. I rate our business on what are clients saying. Are they getting the results for the kids improving, but also are the tutors happy? Are they enjoying the work that we provide? And if they are, then I consider we're running the ship well.
How fast did it scale to 80 tutors? Because that's a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's a big team.
I mean, in the first year, I remember, and you guys must have had this, right? From starting up to in the first 6 to 12 months, you break your back again. You work long hours, and I think, you know what? I've got 5 clients. I think after like 6 or 12, was it 6 months? Might have been 8 months. I got 5. I was like,
was this you just working on your own now?
This was me on my own, getting to tutors. So we had 2 tutors and 5 clients, and that had taken, I think it was 8 months. And I was like, okay, it's not bad. It's pretty terrible. I really wanted 20 as a minimum, but we've got 5. Oh, the phone's ringing. Oh, 2 people have cancelled. So we're down to 3. And I remember that being a tricky moment. I was thinking, oh God, how can I break my back for this long? I've got this measly number. And now it's just cut down again. But I thought, that's just how it is, right? And you guys must have experienced something similar at the beginning. You work mercilessly and you only end up 1% of where you think you should be. Yeah. But that's part of
it's part of the journey.
It's part of the journey, isn't it? And it's
and I bet you learned a lot about yourself during that time.
Yeah. And you literally, in my opinion, you can't, I think any business owner would say the same, you can't get to the next level without those ridiculous hurdles, because you've got to find a way to overcome them, and you gain skills in that process, but then you also gain the hardness. So next time that happens, and it will happen, you just take it on the chin and you push through it like you did before. And the more times you do, that's, the most successful people in the world, they've probably taken the most punches, but just push through it.
I was going to say, that's one thing that overcoming those months where nothing is happening at all, for me, has been the toughest part of business so far. I mean, obviously, I grew up with the family business, etc., but I never had that because I walked into a family business which was relatively busy. Okay. But then stepping out and doing my own thing from scratch. And then you have those months where there were some weeks where we were kind of twiddling our thumbs because we were like,
we had no work to do.
What do we do? And
what did you do during those times?
I'd just go and edit clients' content. We'd take days and we'd try and outreach.
Yeah, so we'd get a nice little outfit on and we'd go to
a trading estate,
and we'd just knock on the doors.
Really?
Yeah, and offer our services for free, which would then, once we can show the value we can add,
That's
now we
right
can talk about
And either way, regardless whether we sign someone or not, it's just
Experience.
Yeah, and it's work that we can put into our portfolio as well.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
So we were building a portfolio for no money, whilst trying to eventually tie somebody down to a retainer basis, which a lot of the times didn't happen. But we were still building our portfolio, and to an outsider, when we were going on a shoot, little did anybody know that we weren't getting paid for it. But it looked like we were busy.
Yeah, that perception.
Why are they busy? Because they're good. If they're good, when I need something, I'm going to go to them.
Yeah, yeah.
And that kept... It was that snowball effect of, oh shit, they're busy. Oh shit, they're at another shoot. Oh shit, they're at another shoot. Yeah. Guess what? This month we've made fuck all. We might have been at 10 shoots, but we've made nothing.
But it's like a triple whammy, isn't it? It's like there's what's seen on the outside, which obviously looks good, right? Because if people just see you twiddling your thumbs and someone's thinking, oh, I need this service. And they think, oh, these guys aren't busy.
Yeah.
They might be great, but maybe they're not. But if they see you're busy, that means something. Then there's the learning during the process of it, right? If you're sitting down not doing much, there's not much learning going on. But if you're hustling and grinding during those 10 shoots, you learn all these skills. And then, of course, the final part, which is you've got potential customers that could sign. God.
It was tough.
Well, one thing as well that you said when you were talking about that dry period was that it creates that hardness, that toughness to go through. I think that's one thing that schools lacking as well. Personally, because having that resilience and that discipline to go through hard tasks, I feel like it's almost sugar-coated quite a bit at school. It's like they'll give a medal to the loser.
Okay.
But do you understand what I'm trying to say, though? In real life, that wouldn't happen. If you lose, you lose. And it's okay to fail. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
But it's not a positive outcome, though, which I feel like can be sugar-coated whilst you're at school as well.
It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one, right? Because if all of us sitting here, we're responsible for 30 kids, if we have that meritocracy, like you do well, you'll be rewarded, pat on the back, we respect you, and you get whatever prize you get for winning. If you're last, it's soul destroying, and if the teachers, they've got you back, like, oh, well done, you get this, you get an award. At least it's not as devastating.
Yeah.
But you won't develop that hardness that you're saying. So that could have really eaten you up.
I'm not saying that a kid has to be the toughest person possible, 5 years old.
No, I'm thinking secondary in my head for this.
I think secondary, you've got enough of an understanding of yourself that if I have underperformed, I need to be told. I think some people react better to it than others. I 100% understand where you're coming from, and the last thing you want to do to your student is make them go home and feel like shit.
Yeah.
They're going to go home, they're going to go to their parents and be like, Mr. Green made me feel like shit today. Yeah. Oh, well, there's a phone call to the head teacher. Mr. Green made my kid feel like shit. Warning from wherever or whoever. It's one of them ones. But again, things aren't always going to be okay. And there's a lot of kids that come out of school and actually are more devastated with themselves because everything's been okay with them really underperforming their whole lives.
Yeah.
And then they get hit with the, oh, welcome to the real world, kid.
Yeah.
Kick to the curb type thing, and you're not going anywhere. No one's giving you a medal. No one's paying you. No one's giving you that job just because you exist.
Yes.
You have to stand out, or you have to perform.
It's a one where I don't disagree. I still with the, how do you cope with the ones that struggle? Because, if you line up, you've got 10 kids, maybe 8 of them, if they fail, you'd be like, look, I'll be as nice as I can. You failed. You've massively underperformed. You need to go away and do better. You give them that kick by the backside. Maybe those 8 will reach a level that they wouldn't have if you're like, you know what, you did your best. It'll be okay. Maybe 8 of them, oh yeah, and then they won't strive next time. But it's the 2 that I'm worried about, because if you say all 10 of them, you did badly. I'll be honest with you. I won't sugarcoat it. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. You can do better. 8 might take it well and do better. The 2 might just regress, but you don't know who they are. You don't know what downward spiral you might be putting on them. So it's a tough one.
It is tough. And then the thing is as well, they might go to their next class with another teacher and it be completely different.
Yeah.
So it is tough. It's tough.
What is your view? Sorry, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say there's a movie I love. It's called Whiplash. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've never heard of it.
It's got the actor from, God, what's his name? It's from Spider-Man. He's the broadcaster, the news guy, Jay Jonas.
I know exactly.
Spider-Man!
Yeah.
That is the guy. That was good, that was.
Thank you.
And, I love that film because I think there are probably loads of films where they've got mentors like this. But I feel like he's the epitome of hardened, horrific mental that could either completely break you or bring the best out of you possible. So this young lad, he's a drummer, excellent drummer, goes to join his class. Guy seems normal. He's like, yeah, come in, start drumming. And she's like, it's not bad, but just do it again, slow it down a little bit. He always seems reasonable. Messes up again. It's like, it's all right. It's fine. It's like, I thought in the trailer it made this guy seem really bad, but he seems quite reasonable. It's just last time. Let's just try it again. Okay, this guy seems all right. He just chucks something. Next thing, he's got this massive thing being lobbed and he just loses it. And he goes, never come back to my class again. And then I think he allows him back in for some reason, but he's just a slave driver. So, if the average person is 70 and he's 99, he'll just get shouted at. And all it does is keeps driving him to do better, His hands are bloody from drumming so much. And right at the end of the film, this young kid speaks to him and says, do you not worry that like you might have the next Beethoven in your class and that your strategy will ruin them, and you'll lose that. And this guy looks at him and goes, do you really reckon Beethoven would have stopped because I did this? And it makes you think like
it's true,
sometimes it's in you, and if like nothing's going to stop it. And in fact, if you've got that horrendous
people that are
discipline.
great, people that are great probably perform under that. You can't do that. Well, I'm gonna fucking do it, and I'm gonna show you.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? One of them ones. I mean, we literally said it last week. We thrive in the situations where, you won't do a podcast for 25 weeks. Guess what we did? You won't be able to build a business and come away from your successful businesses that are already there for you on your own with some cameras. But we did.
Yeah.
Keep giving me things that I can't do so I can fucking do them.
Yeah.
And I think that is a personality trait of anybody that is always looking for that next.
I think it's building that discipline and learning it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always considered myself a reasonably disciplined person, but I suppose I wasn't looking back as I am now. I think I made a decision one day when I started this company, and it was just like, you got to get up at 4:15 every morning, because I think I had a kid at this point.
That's tough.
Yeah, because there's no way around it. I was like, I was working full time in a school, and I think I had one child. No, I think I had 2 children at the time. But it's like, being realistic, how are you going to develop a business working full time without putting the time in? So it's like, it's got to be 2 hours before school every day, 2 hours after school every day. And the only way to do that is to wake up early. And that's when I said I was probably insanely disciplined. And I haven't dropped that. I'm still getting up at that time now, just because.
Putting in them hours, man.
Do you train?
Yeah, I gym quite a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say one thing as well that I think about school is, I always say this to my mom. I always have this conversation with her. Because
I know exactly where this is going.
I think that the importance of health, what you're putting into your body, and being, I'm not saying you have to be an athlete, but being relatively fit and strong, I think it's important. And I think that it should be taught at schools.
It's true. It's true. I think it's a double thing. It's not just being fit. It makes you operate better.
Mentals.
It's a mental. I don't think you can pick and choose discipline. You might, maybe for some things, but if it's just, you get up early, but you don't want to. You train after work or before work, wherever it is, but at that particular time you don't want to, but you just do. Then it filters into everything. So you didn't want to get up early, you did. You didn't want to train, but you did. You didn't particularly want to go to work at that moment, you did. These 2 clients that you've said that promised you something have now turned it down. If you pick up the phone, next one, because it's all the, just, I don't want to do this, but you're going to. But if you pick and choose certain things, then these 2 people fell through. Didn't go to gym this morning. Let me just relax. Yeah. I've earned this. I'll relax. But if it's just relentless, then
I think the thing that isn't taught at school and what people don't understand is that waking up, not doing anything, having a bowl of cereal, coming down, sitting in front of the TV, like, you get your work done. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You go to work or you run your business, but then you come home and then it's okay. Take out for dinner. I'm going to eat something that's not very good for me. I think people don't understand how detrimental that is to themselves, and I think that it's a subject that should be taught at school. Almost like, how PSHC, is it PSHC?
Yeah.
You know how that was like once in a while, you'd get taught that at school. I think it could be the same for, like, it just, for instance, it could just be called like a health class. But I think that would be so important to bring kids up and learn that. Like me, like, I'm an advocate for putting whole foods into your body, understanding what's good for you and what's bad. Not eating takeout all the time, not eating sugary foods, because it can affect you not only mentally, but your health as well, and it's going to increase chances of numerous diseases. I think that's one thing that people don't understand from all generations. My generation, 5 generations ago, the generation of kids that are coming up now, they just think it's okay not to look after the one body that they've got.
Yeah,
I think it's really important that it should be taught.
Yeah, I guess undeniable. I'm just thinking how it would be put into the curriculum. I guess like PHSC, as you say. I suppose all of these things, all the things that we're talking about, the life
these
lessons.
are all things that could just be implemented into form.
Maybe we should open a school.
Yeah.
you know, form. You had form tutor, right? Where you'd go and you'd spend 25 minutes every day at the start of the day.
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes after lunchtime every day. That's 35 minutes a day that people were just sitting in there and doing nothing, really, just waiting to go to their next lesson.
Yeah, it's true. I think the last school I was at, when I was a form tutor, what did we cover? We were given directives from management.
Nothing.
This is going to sound really bad because I actually can't remember anything that we did. But I remember, I enjoyed form. I enjoyed having form class. I had year 11 a couple of times. And we were saying before this about, do I miss teaching? I actually missed those form classes, and I missed the classes that I taught.
Is that when you did interact with students probably the most?
Yeah.
That wasn't about learning.
Yeah, and it was stuff. We'd look at the topic of the news. That was it. That was the main thing. I'd always get on BBC News, have a discussion, what's going on in the world, etc.
You know what's crazy? That I don't mean to cut you out. You used to search BBC News up in your lessons, but now you're going on there and you're doing your thing. Full circle.
That. Yeah, that's not bad. I never thought about that. Yeah.
You've thrown him.
Yeah.
Big TV star now. The one thing that I was going to say, if I've thrown you, how do you think that schools could improve? What
people like him, man.
What would you add? What would you take away? How do you think it could be more engaging? What could be taught? What shouldn't be taught?
God, I'm going to try my best not to go off on one here.
No, that's no. I want your honest opinion. If you think the school system's fine, say that and oppose. Because obviously, like me, like I'm not saying I hate school, but me and Chris haven't exactly given it the best rap ever.
We're not overly fond on the school system.
Yeah. So obviously, I was ingrained in the school system for 10 years. On the other side, right, as a teacher side. One of my biggest issues from what teachers have to do is the marking, right? I always hated that, and I never thought it did much benefit to the kids. And why I'm bringing this up first is because I always think if teachers can have less stress on the things that are very unenjoyable, e.g. the marking, the admin, the various other things, and more time could be spent on planning lessons and interacting with students in fun ways. Maybe there can be more things from management in terms of how to deal with difficult children, right? Because if you've got 30 kids, you've only got a few minutes to plan because you've got to mark all the books, deal with this admin. You know, the lessons that you're thinking about from when you were in school, you might have had a disheveled teacher that had been told they've got 20 hours of marking this week. They've now got 3 hours of other admin. If all that stuff vanished, but they were in school for the same amount of time, you'd have probably got a smiling teacher coming, happy to teach you. They went in the profession for this reason, and they haven't got to worry about these things. My only experience of this is in my last year of teaching, which was my best year of teaching by none. I pretty much didn't do any marking or any admin that managers asked me to. It sounds bad, but
by choice you just didn't do it.
Just by choice, just because, like, yeah,
the kids are just waiting for their grades. They're like, what?
No, when I say no marking, what I mean is I wouldn't take books home.
Okay.
So don't be wrong. If you were in my class as my students, I'd have time for you. I'd talk to you. You'd be doing work, and I'd mark it. So I'd be like, right, you got this. But what I wouldn't do was take home your 2 books and 28 other kids and spend 4 hours marking, because neither of you two would care or get any benefit from it. If you'd ever said to me, like, sir, please, I really want my book marked. No child, I think, has said that ever. If you said that to me, out of respect, I'm like, God, boys, I'm really sorry. I'll integrate that. But that doesn't happen. I'd come into your class, I'd give you energy, I'd say when you've got something wrong, how to improve, I'd talk about your day. These things would happen. You do a test, we'd mark it together as a class, you'd be happy. I'd like to think anyway. My class is still happy. They still message me to this day. But if instead of putting the time into planning that to make it like that, you know, I've only got X amount of time. So I'd have to trim that time to make room for the marking admin. I'd be less happy and I'd have less time for you guys. You'd be like, so this happened, I ain't got time for this. I've got to get, I'm marking these books. I can't plan. Like I'd be less organised. But in my last year of teaching, I put loads of time into planning the lessons. I was always smiling. I was always happy. Maybe don't quote me on this, see what the kids say, but I think it's the case.
I was just about to say, did the kids react well to that? Better to that?
Yeah, the kids were really sad to see me go my last year. Really sad to see me go.
I can imagine. It sounds, by the sounds of things, you'd be a pretty fun teacher to have, man.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes in my early years, I was a bit gruff, and I'm sure there's some kids out there that hate my guts. But for my last year, like I turned the strictness button off.
I was just going to ask, were you strict?
I was strict in my early years.
Shouting?
Yeah, I shouted some horrible times at kids. They deserved it, in all fairness. Like, I
Have some little shit. It was me. I was the kid that deserved it. And that was me, bro.
I never shouted at a kid that didn't deserve it. And like, I don't feel any guilt with it. I think it's one of those things that we were saying before. If I hadn't, I was like, oh, maybe you're having some tough times. That's not going to help them in life. When they go into work.
Those teachers were pushovers.
Yeah. Those kids are
going to do anything in their lessons. It was those lessons. It was just fun.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah. And there's not much learning going on. I think 99% of kids would always appreciate a strict teacher that's decent, honest, honourable, and can teach well because they want to learn and they want to enjoy the lesson. But when they've got this person misbehaving, they can't learn, and the teachers they're just going, oh, come on now, it'll be okay. They're just like, oh man, this teacher's useless. So that's why I was strict in the early years.
Respect factor as well. Once that respect comes down for the teacher, everything you say is a whole lot less valuable.
Yeah, that's it. And in my last years, I felt I didn't need to do that. I think there was probably an insecurity from me in my early years because I felt like I looked young. I felt like I wouldn't be taken seriously. So I thought I had to compensate with strictness. And then by the time I had a facial hair eventually and a slightly stronger voice in my last years, when I stopped being strict and just say, look, you got to do this, X, Y, Z, and didn't shout. Everyone was just listening.
Why didn't you take that? You said that there was a level of like an insecurity that you looked young to the teacher. Would you not look at that as a positive and use that to your advantage? I'm down with you kids. Listen to me, man. On a level, it can work sometimes. Did you try it? I can only say that in my last years. In my early years, like let's say you guys liked me, you guys respected me. Maybe you two do, but maybe you don't. Maybe you're the two in the class that just think, oh God, who's this twat that's just coming in? If that's how this guy keeps singing, man.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Rapping in the front of the class.
This guy keeps singing, man. Shut the fuck.
Yeah, imagine that's how you two feel. I've got 28 other kids that think I'm cool and actually like it.
Yeah.
And I'm coming, hey man, I'm down with the kids. And you're like, who is this cringy loser, man? I've lost you. And I can't get that sort of authority back. Whereas if I come in authoritative, you might think, I don't like this guy. But man, when he sees me flicking my pencil, he doesn't miss a trick and I'm in detention. He hasn't disrespected me. I don't like the guy. But he says if I misbehave, I'm going to be in trouble. He runs a tight ship, so I don't like the guy, but he's not the worst. So you just listen. But if I come like, hey guys, I'm your friend, I'm your pal. Actually, can you please not do that? Like, get out of here, man. And that's done. Once you act like that, it's done.
I remember I had teachers like that. It would be like that. They'd tell me off for something like, nah, what are you talking about? It's like, come on, man.
You can't turn that around.
You're on a level, G. What? Now you're telling me off and telling me detention and these things. No.
You can turn it around the other way. You can think of the strictest teacher you know. If he came in one day and just brought it down, you might be like, this is a bit strange, but you could take it. But you're saying the one that's a pushover, he can't come in strict. It won't work that way.
Did you have like tactics?
Oh, many.
What? You used to manipulate the kids.
Many. I think the most basic ones is you need to have police must be trained to have a certain voice. You've got to speak with a certain level of authority.
Can we hear your teacher voice then?
My teacher voice. Oh God!
Can you welcome us into the class?
My welcoming class. I think I'd be like, 9J, line up outside. So when you come in,
flashbacks.
Yeah, I am having flashbacks. I'll be like, bags off, coats off, instructions on the board, come in silently. I'm here watching, and you've got these 6 questions to do. I'll be quizzing you randomly when you come in. So I'll be there watching them. They know the instructions, and they've got loads of psychological factors going on. If they don't do the things, they're going to get their name on the board and possible detention. That's the one. Then there's the positive psychological thing. If they do all that and they get the questions, when I say, Chris, what's this? You're like, that's photosynthesis. Hey, nice.
Everyone in the class thinks you're a G.
You
get it right.
And then there's the flip side of that as well. You come in.
The embarrassment of not knowing.
You don't know. And I usually make them easy enough so that you're not in a situation where you're lost. So that was the way I always used to do things. And it worked pretty well.
I was going to say, one thing that I've just thought of is obviously you've got the tutoring business now, but you could even do something catered towards teachers, and like you could go into schools and you could actually talk about teaching more interesting lessons.
My wife says this to me.
Have you thought about it?
I'm not sold on it personally.
Why?
Because
What doesn't sell? What doesn't sell to you?
I think that could really benefit a lot of schools and kids, really.
I'll tell you why. I find staff trickier customers than kids. And that's from the perspective of when we're in staff meetings and someone comes in and says, hey, I'm going to train you on this. Most staff attitude is like, oh, God, who's this person telling me what I already know? In some cases, this is very valid because you've been working there, you've been at school since 7, done the marking, you've had 5 classes, you've got 6 hours worth of work to do. And instead of the school saying, hey, here's 2 hours, they're like, no, we've got to fill those 2 hours of training. And the school brings someone in that is saying something not particularly valuable. Maybe you know 90% of it, but you've got to sit there for 2 hours. So I always think if I'm coming in, I can't be that guy. I've got to be coming in to tell you something that's genuinely really useful. So I'm going to make your lessons much better, and you believe it will, or it's going to save you time. And you've got to buy into one of those two things or both. And it would just take me a very long time to create something I think that would be of that value. I used to have a position in the school. What was it called? I think it was called an advanced lead teacher. And that position used to stress me out because I used to put an inordinate amount of time into these like 10, 15-minute presentations. I used to have a half term. And I'm like, half term, I get a week off. And I'm like, I've got this presentation. When I get back, I remember spending like 30 hours on this 15 minutes just so I could come out and say, do you know what? I feel proud to deliver this in that 15 minutes. I don't think anyone's going to be sitting there thinking this is a waste of my time. And I don't think anyone did. But if I'd made it quicker, I think they would have felt that. I don't think I've got quite a repertoire of things that I can whip something up that would be of value to staff yet. If I think I can, then I would do it. But I don't think I've got it there yet.
Well, that's fair enough.
You said it in the physical form, though. Don't you think that you could create something online where the staff by choice that want to take their teaching to the next level, that like the way that you operate, that see you on TikTok, can come as an option to be tutored by you or your team?
That's good.
I'll be honest, I never thought about that. But they got a business brain there, Chris.
But no, you could be
No,
the physical. You're wasting your time,
a digital course,
as well as their time.
Yeah,
the digital course you can have pre-set up. There's a really good marketing agency called GMS Creative that could set it up for you.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you guys.
But you know what I mean, though. You can be anywhere in the world, and that can tick. You don't have to physically walk into a school and stand there like, hi, I rap on TikTok. And they're going to come to you because they value what you do already.
Be like $39.99 or something. They get like access to like 10 half an hour long videos or 10-minute long videos, for instance. Like a bank of videos that
and
could
you
help
update it, and it's a subscription, and you can access it as much as you want, like a Netflix model or something like that, or a Spotify model.
I think that has legs, to be honest.
I want 25%. I want 25%.
You guys need your cut.
Well, listen, you guys will see in the next 6 months, if this is coming up and we haven't been reimbursed for it, shout us, let us know in the comments, man.
We're still slaving away doing the podcast.
But no, I'm happy that you didn't think of it like that, because I think that would work.
It's definitely something that could work.
Yeah,
I think even in sense, I think even in a way of the tutoring, a parent could go and buy a course. What did you teach at school?
I taught science.
Science.
Yeah.
It could be, for instance, a science course. Obviously, you could enroll plenty of like teachers or people that are like experts in those fields to teach certain subjects. But like, for instance, a science course that would be chemistry, and it would be for GCSE students, and the parents would pay, let's say, $39.99.
How do I make this easier for my kid to understand?
And it would be like a set of videos that they'd buy, like YouTube videos, something that they'd go and watch themselves, but it's your own video.
Yeah.
Or have you even thought of starting something like
Hey,
YouTube?
stop dropping dimes on the podcast, man. The other rapping teachers are going to come and nip everything.
No, but when I was at school revising for my GCSEs, all I did was watch YouTube videos and do past papers.
Yeah. It's a good method.
Could be that next YouTuber man that's teaching things.
Well, YouTube is getting there slowly. It's like I was saying before.
Was it in the works?
It was, I think, 17,000 followers, subscribers.
Oh, did you post on YouTube already?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I post on YouTube.
Oh, sorry, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's okay.
I just broke the whole set. Yeah, you're doing a lot better on YouTube than us. As you can probably see why I just nearly broke everything.
Well, you got proper stuff. I am going to get a camera, I think, for the YouTube side of things. But yeah, like, I know some people, I can't remember what the platforms are called, right? You've got YouTube, you put your free stuff, and then you've got not OnlyFans, but you know, like the equivalent. You know,
Why
like
is that the first one that comes to mind? It's just YouTube Premium, man. No, you can set. There's a thing now where you can have subscribers, even on Instagram.
It could even be like,
Even on Instagram, you can have a thing
Even-
where they pay for a certain amount of content.
even like for us, if we're gonna go, for instance, there's like add-ons that you can get to Premiere Pro, like our editing software, and you'll pay online. Let's say £10 it is, whatever it is you're buying, and then you'll get an email instantly with a link to a file with all of the content that you need.
Okay.
You can
That
then
makes it.
apply
Yeah, it
to
could
your
even
own
be something
editing.
as simple as that, where you've got your own website link in your bio. Someone will go on there.
I toy with ideas every now and again, but one of my number one things with what I do on all socials is the raps have to be completely free.
Yeah,
It's like-
no, 100%.
So any income made is always on the, as it currently stands, is always on the sponsorship side.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always think JGM, you know, we make our money from families that can afford the tuition, right? But one of the reasons why the rapping came in was because I know not all kids can afford it. So it's just, I feel good being able to make something that anyone can.
It's
Like
free.
enjoy.
It's free
That
value
feel
at the end of the
good-
day.
Feel good factor of being able to give back
Yeah.
as well. Like if you can help somebody that actually just, I've got a pass on that science test that I didn't think I was ever going to get a pass. Oh, what did you do? Oh, this is really good rapping teacher. And if that came back to you, how would that'll make you feel so good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, it's like payment in itself from the messages I get from students. It's crazy. I think I probably get maybe 1,000 a month. Saying,
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, just saying, I've done photosynthesis rap and I passed this test. I was failing this before. I get it now. I tried to reply to every single one because they always mean a lot. But yeah, it's insane.
I can imagine it being massively
cool.
fulfilling,
Yeah.
like especially on a child,
Yeah,
for them to be like, thank you, because as a child it's tough. No children like their teachers really.
Yeah.
You don't like your teachers. You didn't, and for them to go out of their way to hit you and be like, thank you,
Yeah.
from a kid, that takes a lot.
Yeah.
So that's amazing, man.
Yeah, I used to feel feeling ridiculously chuffed when I used to get my 5 thank you cards from kids at the end of the year. I'd be like, wow, I don't think I used to give them out. So, but I used to think, I used to think,
I
oh
can't.
God, my teachers that I liked, but yeah, I didn't. But when I get them, I think, wow, that means that they were thinking it and they went out of their way to do this. So,
In terms of scaling the tutoring business, the JJM, have you got anything in mind of how you want to do that? Or is it you want to scale, or are you like, okay, cool, I've got it to a nice place?
I don't think I'd ever feel that way. I remember one of the earliest business lessons.
yeah.
Yes, sir. I think one of the earliest business lessons.
Motherfucker, bring me my money. Sorry, mate, go Karen.
I worked for a company years ago when I was a terrible salesman. And although I learned lots of lessons and it was quite terrible, one of the best things I ever heard was there's no... what's the way of saying it? Keeping the same number is not staying the same. So if you guys have got 80 clients, right? 80 clients this month, 80 clients next month, you think, we're doing all right. We're flatlining, but it pays the bills. We're doing well. Are you going forwards by staying the same? And someone goes, no, you're going backwards because bills are rising and competition is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, you need to be getting a bit bigger all the time at the very least to consider yourself staying the same. So I don't think I'd ever get to a point where I'd keep the number constant. We're always getting bigger, always growing, always trying to improve the service. We're trying to get it better. That excites me. Like we're going to change our whiteboard soon, and I found a good one. I think makes it much better than it is. And we're trying to do things to make tutors' lives easier. Their lives easier. Then hopefully they're going to tutor and enjoy it more.
Yeah.
So it's always making things better,
Also,
and therefore the numbers
become more valuable as well. So your commission can naturally increase with all these little things.
That's true. I don't think we're going to do that.
Just
Because, I always rather the value go to the tutor.
Okay.
So,
It's a nice way to be.
yeah, because I just think,
Well, you still, like you said, you're working on trust.
yeah, and I think
So-
that grows it more. So,
Yeah.
lots of agencies do that. You provide more value as the agency, so therefore you can demand a bigger commission. That makes sense. But if you take a little less commission, then the people feel happier, and then therefore more likely to recommend, and you get more great people, and then it can grow. And that's the logic I keep. If I like our kids to be happy, I like the parents to be happy. But if I find out tutors unhappy, I do not like that at all. That the tutors have to be, in my mind, very happy with who we're providing. And if I ever find out someone isn't, then I'm there in a shot to sort of fix that.
Is it like online tutoring?
Online, it's online tutoring. Yeah.
What do you mean by whiteboards? Then you've invested.
Sorry. So we
I'm so confused because then I started thinking of a classroom.
I was going to pull him back on it, but I was just guessing it was like a software. Or
to be fair, it's one of those things that's in my head. It makes sense, and I gestured there. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah, I thought your point
made no sense.
Over there.
The whiteboard over there, wall, TV, piano, guitar.
So fun. I remember being young and seeing my mum do stuff like that and cussing her for stupid gestures and that. I'm doing it myself. So our online service tutors teach students using an interactive whiteboard.
Okay.
We've gone through 2 versions. The one we have now is obviously the best, but we're always trying to make it better. And we've got one now that we're hopefully aiming to move over.
Maybe that could be the way that you really scale the business. Though we were having this conversation on our drive up to London that we were saying. Well, I was saying to Chris that from what I've been seeing is having a software agency or a software business is one of the best businesses to possibly have, like a subscription-based software. And yours could, for instance, be a whiteboard. Yeah. From your experience of working with tutors, and it would be a subscription-based model, obviously, that the tutoring agencies would pay for. And then you obviously just supplied that software to them?
I think it's a model that I think other agencies have done in the past. I think some of the whiteboards that exist on the market today are from big agencies creating a whiteboard, knowing what works, and then realizing, we can make extra revenue here by outsourcing this product to others. We could do it. We've never made our own. We are basically using this outsourced service. Yeah. If we got big enough that we could
focusing on what's important.
Yeah, I'm not talking about tomorrow, by the way, when I'm saying
no, it's still a good idea. That you've always got to be thinking. I've got ideas in VR that I want to start.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you mind saying them or not?
No, I'm happy to say.
Shit, you just put your goggles on and your teacher's there, bro.
What's the new Apple one? Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Looks so cool, by the way.
I'm glad you're saying this. So many people are saying it like this is going to end the world.
No chance, man.
Like, I love VR.
Do you know what? The only time I've ever done VR was with you. I took Chris for his birthday, literally 5 months after his birthday.
It was different. We went and got pissed and we were shooting people with VR.
But that's still
so fun. It was literally, we were in each other's headsets and we were playing like a zombies game.
On your 7.
It was so funny.
There's nothing like it, man.
I think the Vision Pro with me, I've got my monitor, I've got my Mac set up when I'm working at home. Like if I just had the Apple Vision Pro and you can plug it into your MacBook, can't you? And everything from my MacBook will be on there. Or I don't know whether it connects.
Have you seen the videos on it?
Yeah.
You don't even need to plug it in.
Oh, is it just like AirPlay?
You put it on your eyes and you can have transparent mode. So you have it on like this and I think it will be playing colours if I'm locked in this world, right? But the second you put transparent mode, it will show my eyes. I thought it was actually see-through, but it's not. It's got a screen that mimics your eyes.
It's like if you came in my peripheral, my eyes would show as well.
Yeah. But when I saw the video of it, it was you got your Mac, all that Mac on the table. When you look at stuff, the Vision Pro knows that's your Mac, and then you just go, dunk, and then it pulls up the screen in not VR, AR. So you've got your 30-inch screen. Now 40 inches, and you can have all your instances, all your tabs around you, and then you can use your real keyboard, your physical keyboard in reality, and it can be typing on.
That's the best thing about it is I've got literally my monitor and my small Mac, but I want more. I want 17 monitors, man, everywhere, having loads of tabs open. I think it's good.
But for $3,500, you could probably get 17 monitors.
Yeah, but you say that though for $3,500, and people have been talking about this price point, saying that it's expensive, but. When the first iPhone came out, people said that was expensive for a phone.
Yeah,
these prices will drop inevitably.
I always think people think I'm mad for saying this, but I'm with you on this. It is an incredible piece of tech. It's got full computer.
It's got an M1 chips. And an M2 chip.
Yeah, and then it's got 20 cameras, like cameras on the inside, cameras on the. I don't think I'm even exaggerating the 20. I think there literally are that many. 2 screens. No, 3 screens because it's got one on each eye, then another one on the outside. These aren't cheap, but people will buy it and they can use that to invest in the next one to make it better and bring the price down. And I would rather there being one company out there like Apple that is willing to make something crazy and then it works, then others will do it because the closest competing one is the Meta Quest.
Looks shit, doesn't it?
And
it really is bad.
I wanted to buy one, but every time
it's like a Game Boy.
It looks cheap.
Yeah.
And I know it won't do what I want it to do. I want to be able to experimentally teach lessons. I know the Apple one will, and I know the Quest Pro will, but it's $1,500, but it's also not that great. I think the $300 one is probably better from a value perspective. But the Apple one that will do it all. One thing that's lacking in these virtual reality worlds is eye tracking. In the same way we're having an engaged chat now, right? If we did this on the Meta and the other ones, we can have our avatars. They can look good, but I'm going to be like, am I looking at you? Am I not? Whereas the Apple one, if we're having a chat and my mind wanders, you'll know I'm not paying attention. You'll be like, hey, back on me again.
And obviously that's where it's important for you if you were actually going to start tutoring.
And that's the thing for the tutoring, because I've had my eyes on this eye tracking stuff for a while, because I would like to buy one of these, maybe buy one for another student from an experimental perspective, and start teaching.
Do you want to teach me?
Yeah.
He calls for the Zoom call or whatever it is, and Hedge just there like this. It's like got 25 million tabs open.
But I would just like to test it for a year.
Yeah.
Imagine porn in the goggles. That'd be good. Sorry.
I'll be honest, it's not something that obviously I don't think I'll be using. I try to stay away from that as much as possible. I think it's really detrimental to an individual, but it will be one of the biggest industries. Not that it isn't already, but the industry will go absolutely crazy. Like when VR's like mass, like within the masses.
Yeah.
Do you know when you said people think it's scary and you're for it? I'm for it.
Great,
but
I like that.
The thing that does scare me is that what happens to the person that much prefers that version of their reality as opposed to their...
There's people that prefer sitting on their phone 24/7 and their screen time's like 12, 13 hours a day.
I think phones are equivalent. Because like if we go back 30 years ago, right, we don't have this. We've got a newspaper, so we might just have our head in a book or a newspaper or on the TV screen. I don't know what the stats would be time-wise, but we'd be spending a bit of our time actually interacting with each other. And then the other time we'd spend on the TV or reading newspaper, disengaged. Phones came out like the Antichrist, and now our attention can be sucked into them, right? Our attention does get sucked into them. I think VR will just be the equivalent. But these, again, this can be a tool for good or for bad. You can get sucked into wasting your time scrolling uselessness. It makes you worse. But you could also, like you guys and like I'm doing, run a business from this. Like 20 years ago, you couldn't just have this and be locked somewhere with a charger. Your business is just going to fall apart. But you can pretty much run it from this. You grow it, run it from this, and the VR is going to be the same thing. It can be used to waste away in. It can be used to create greatness. But it's just how you use it.
And how you apply it.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing to what Tate said with the GBT. Because the people that choose to apply it correctly will use it.
What's
I
that?
was just going to say...
ChatGTV.
Do you use that for your tutoring? AI or anything like that?
No.
Sorry, man, just cut up.
Do the kids use it for their tests? That's one thing.
They do.
There's a software that you can run through, like, let's say we wrote an essay. Matt was our teacher. We sent our essay to Matt. Then Matt would run it through this software that would tell whether it's AI or not. Like, it's an AI that would see whether AI made it or not.
See, I didn't even know that. I was wondering if they'd made that yet.
What you can say to ChatGPT is make this so it's unrecognizable to AI. And it will do that because the way that it works is it will figure out what are the best words to say after this word. And then the next word, and then it will figure out whether AI made it or not.
Basically, dumb down my essay, but still get me an A.
I want to go back to the business ideas that you had with VR.
So
what were they?
It would be just to take what we do right now to the next level, right? So parent calls, they want science tutoring for their kid. Face-to-face used to be something we had to contend with in the early days. We had to convince people that online was just as good, but then the pandemic hit, that conversation went out the window. So that was good for business. But VR would just be the next level. So I say to a parent on the phone, we can try the next level service up, which is if you have one of these products, if you've got a Meta Quest or you've got a Vision Pro, then our tutor on our side will have that in, and the lesson quality would be 10 times what normal would be. So,
imagine how interactive you could make it.
Crazy interactive. There's the face-to-face that we can have now, right? If I was going to rate that quality of lesson we could have right now with pen and paper and books, I'd say 7 out of 10. I would say online, and I stick to this because my company runs, and I think online is slightly better than face-to-face because, I can rub things out in front of us. I can get YouTube clips. I can get videos. That's why I think online's better. VR wouldn't even be 1 up. It would just be straight 10 out of 10 because I can say, H, put this on. Christos puts this on, and I'll put it on. And think of the most boring thing ever. Maybe you hate the structure of atom. Maybe waves are boring. But now I can just say, hey, see this? Take one. Take a look. Right in the middle, we have the nucleus, protons, neutrons. Look at the color.
And it's here, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I think the one that came to my head straight away would be like space.
Yeah,
we used to learn about that, like in physics. Like, could you imagine like your teacher would just okay, guys, we're gonna
It's
talk about a star today, and like you just puts you in space, like right next to this. Like, that would be the
literally
coolest
like
thing.
Tony Stark, you know, with
Yeah,
the Marvels when he pulls it.
That's exactly it. Yeah, when I started thinking about this, it was always from Tony Stark, the way that he does stuff, but with no AR.
Yeah,
It would be like that, but we just all have the glasses on.
And that would be amazing.
The future. I think that would be it. Like,
I think I'd want to do stuff like that. I'll sit and I'll watch documentaries about space or like about like animals and stuff like that. Now, like David Attenborough, like, at the moment I'm watching this new one.
Our Planet.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. By the way, so much better than the first season. Go and watch after this.
I'm gonna
but
watch
like,
that.
could you imagine like that in VR? Like, and you're learning about animals, or you're watching that doc through VR, or something like that within biology. When like the one that comes to my mind about animals was like adaptation.
Yeah,
with animals or plants or something. Could you imagine? Like watching the stages of that through, it would be crazy.
I think you're saying things in my opinion.
Inner geek starting to come out.
No,
now.
but I love stuff like this though.
These things are, in my opinion, already pretty incredible. But maybe that's because the nerd in me. Anything space related or what you're saying, I think quite a lot of people like that. I'm thinking of things that people find extraordinarily boring. So there was things for me it was history. I found history really boring. But
Put you straight in a battle scene or something.
I could yeah.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
For an example,
Yeah.
you'd just be a lot more. You're going to be involved straight away.
Battle of Hastings, been there. I've seen it.
Yeah, been there, done that. I want to go as well.
So yeah, that's what I think. I think I don't want AR or VR to fizzle out. I feel like Meta. I was reading something this morning and I couldn't believe it. It was saying something like, yesterday on the metaverse, there were 46 people on it, and the daily revenues it's making are like $416. And I thought, how's that even possible? He put everything on this, and it shouldn't be failing. But it might crash and burn. It might not catch on. But
have you seen how bad the metaverse actually is, though? Like,
I've seen the videos.
The graphics are horrible. Like, it's just not the place to be. Like, you just know for a fact that Apple are going to come in with the Apple Vision Pro, which we've seen the trailer for, was announced, and it just looks like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, have you even seen like with FaceTime? How it's going to be like you scan your face with it.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-minute thing. You scan your whole face, and your torso will come up on FaceTime, and like
so you do FaceTime with it on your face.
It creates a virtual reality version of you, but it's like basically looks like real life you.
Yeah,
and you're like, we could all be on Face. We could be doing this podcast on VR, and we'd look real, and like we'd all be. Like, it's just crazy. It is crazy.
I remember watching that video and it's saying, "Oh, you can do FaceTime calls." It's like FaceTime calls. What, do you have to set up your phone in front of it? And it's like, wait for it. I was like, nah, don't tell me it's using the cameras inside to scan your face. And then the guy reviewing it said, it's not perfect, but it's amazing that it can even do that at all.
Yeah, and this is the first version of it.
Yeah.
Imagine 10 years time, man. It's going to be insane. I mean, one thing that I saw as well was the original iPhone. One sold like a couple months ago for like 60K.
Yeah.
And obviously that was the last time that Apple really brought out a product that changed the game.
Yeah.
This is their new version of the iPhone, really. It's their next step. It's like, no,
Let's
don't buy
get
one now,
it.
leaving it in a box, don't touch it.
Yeah,
10 years time, never know how much you're going to make, man.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think that's a lovely way for us to round up.
I really enjoyed this episode, man. It was good, eh?
Yeah, this is great. Yeah,
Hage's inner geek was brought out towards the end, and it makes me really
Wait,
happy.
quickly. You're a science teacher. What science did you teach?
So I used to do A-level biology. I was head of A-level biology.
Do you want to drop
chemistry.
some like knowledge on me or something? I like stuff. Just go on. Just something that
is
a fact that I'm gonna be like, shit. What?
That's the most on the spot question you could have given me. All right. Something that will.
Could you imagine?
So I'm thinking of like all these things, and I'm like, what is the most epic thing I could say that would really impress you? Do you know much about the speed of light and how fast it takes light to get to places?
Yeah, so I know the sun. It takes it 8 minutes to get to Earth.
Okay, well, I'll go with something else. All right.
Is that exactly what you're gonna tell me?
Yeah. Do you know how long it takes light to get to the next closest star system?
No.
So the speed of light, it takes 4 years to get to our closest star. I think it's Alpha Centauri. That fact blew my mind, so I hope it might do the same for you.
4 years.
So how far is it?
It's 4 light years away. I don't know what that works out into actual miles.
Well, the speed of light travels, is it something like 300 million meters per second?
That's it, yeah. So you times that by 60, by 60, by 24, by 365, by 4.
It's a ridiculous, unfathomable. Yeah. But I don't know.
It's far.
It's far. Yeah. Sorry, man. I couldn't get my words out.
But I always remember the inner geek of me first hearing that. and feeling a little bit depressed by that fact because
we're so minuscule.
Yeah, if you travel, if we have a bit of tech, some insane discovery comes out tomorrow, and we can make a spaceship travel at the speed of light, which is never going to happen. But if we could do it, it would take. It's an 8-year return trip to go to the closest star.
It's never going to happen.
I saw
but
something
if you
interesting.
told someone that was going to happen,
that's
100 years ago.
I saw something interesting though about traveling at the speed of light. Do you know who Andrew Schultz is?
Yes,
the comedian. He spoke about this on his podcast.
Yes, I do.
So what he said was, instead of trying to create something that will travel at the speed of light, we should create something that can harness the speed of light and get as close to it as we possibly can. Like almost, for instance, like a sail that would capture the wind and takes a boat. You'd capture a sail that would capture the light, and you'd travel close to the speed of light.
And 99.9% of it's good enough, ain't it?
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, no, sick.
Yeah,
it's time.
Awesome.
No, I really enjoyed that, man. Thank you for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
It's all right, bro.
Thank you for having us, inviting us into your home. If there's anything that you want to promote, please do so.
And if there's anything that you want to say to the kids listening at home about school to do well or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I say to every kid I've ever taught. Do I look at the camera and say something like this?
If you want to make this really intimate, you can look at the cameraman.
Side eye.
Yeah. If any kids are watching that I've taught or you've watched my videos, just do your absolute best. And whenever you think it's too much, keep going, because everyone's felt that way. I felt that way, and you've got what it takes. So go smash it.
We're rooting for you, man. We're rooting for you.
Amazing.
Make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Follow us on Spotify, all of that good shit.
Yeah, make sure that you hit up Matt on Insta as well, man.
Yeah,
TikTok.
everything's going to be in the description.
You can go see his raps and everything everywhere.
Yeah, that's mattgreen.jgm. You can find me on pretty much everything.
Sick. Amazing. Right, love.
See you next
We're
week.
out. Push!